Okay, cool. Well, welcome everybody. Elaira and I are really excited. We were just sitting here talking for a little bit, and we had a little questionnaire we released before this conversation. It's totally okay if you didn't fill that out. Thanks to those who did. So it just gave us a sense of some of the interests, and there'll be a lot of time at the end of Elaira and I will do a little conversation today. And then we'll open it up like we always do for questions. So there'll be plenty of time for questions, and we'll have a chance to kind of solicit where you guys are at too in the middle of our conversation. So if you didn't have a chance to fill that out, that's totally okay. We want to get a sense of who's in the room and what your interests
Yeah,
are.
I really, really appreciate those who did share, because I really wanted to connect, and it's kind of new community for me. Well, not so new. I see familiar faces, but I needed to know where you are. I wanted kind of to have touch base and just to meet you where you are. So it was very helpful for me, and it gave for both of us quite an inspiration how to take an angle of this talk. Thank you.
Yeah, it was really juicy because the origin of this talk is that many of you I've spoken to about my experiences working with Elaira, but Elaira and I've known each other for a while now, a few years, and I've been really excited about, doing something with her in Ownstream for a long time. And so that just built when I worked on her Capacity Path program earlier this year. I was like, oh, wow, I just got so excited. The way things come to me is like, I just know people and start to learn their gifts. And then I'm just like, ooh, I start to think about how that matches with other people's interests and gifts. And like, that's what I get really excited about. And a lot of you have been a part of that who are on this call. So that's what's really fun for me. So getting deeper into Elaira's work, I got a chance to see like how I thought she would meet Ownstream. But then seeing the questionnaires and seeing what people are interested in, it was even more so. Like we were both like, oh wow, there's like such rich terrain here to dive in together. So it's pretty exciting. So welcome Elaira to Ownstream.
Been a while. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you
And
for
go ahead.
No, I said thank you for poking me, and thank you for having me, and thank you guys for joining live. I always love, and thank you for those who join in recording, but I always love to connect live much more. Like then I can really feel and sense and respond.
Yeah, cool. So some people here might know Elaira more than others, and so I thought we could start by Elaira tell us a little bit about kind of like who you are and what you're about. And we both wanted to dive like right into this idea of the new business paradigm because we know it brings up a lot for a lot of people, like that word business. It just brings up a lot. It's got baggage. And so maybe Elaira, let's start by talking about like like what you're about and like what is this idea of the new business paradigm. Let's just dive into it.
Yeah. And while I'm sharing and starting, maybe guys, I would like really to know what is your intention today? What would you like to receive? If you can drop in a chat, like one sentence or maybe a few words. Um, what would be why did you join here? What would you like to receive? And then meanwhile, I contemplate your very deep question, broad question. It's the hardest question to answer. Who are you, right? Cannot be more broad.
Yeah, just that. Just who are you? But I feel like you're really well. So some of the questions we received before this, for example, were about marketing. Elaira has a different word for marketing, which is visibility. And
Oh,
I
I
feel
think I have different words for everything now. I
yes.
invented my own vocabulary there.
So you're
Uh,
somebody who does like just know how to talk about yourself, I feel, and what your gifts are. And I think that's hard for a lot of us. So yeah, a new shiny crystal of Elaira magic.
it's so hard, man. Baby, what's wrong with you? My cat is somehow want to participate so strongly. Um, yeah, talking about that also. Maybe I will start with that point of view. I will be very honest. I was a little bit nervous also reading the answers and a bit sensing like on-stream language and like seeing some of your newsletters. And I thought like, oh my gosh, there's so much Jacqueline's language and Oracle Girl. And I love that woman to bits. You know, I appreciate that she became my friend and probably most inspiring and influential person in my personal life. But at a certain point, I realized I want to be my own being, you know, and I don't want to be in that very powerful relationship in the form of enmeshment. So at a certain point also, I even asked Jacqueline, I said, and actually everyone, I think this is where also kind of step out of Ownstream. There was a phase in my life where I stepped out and went within and kind of went for a while in my own bubble to find my own voice and my own identity and not to be influenced by other people. And then I feel now I'm coming back with my own point of view about the business, with my own point of view of vocabulary of business that I resonated to me, and my own point of view, what is new business paradigm. It was a lot of embodiment, a lot of finding my own voice. And I remember Jacqueline said, of course, you can leave and you can come back. And it's not kind of, I'm a guru, you know, it's you do you, you know. And of course, you know, Jacqueline being awesome Jacqueline. But why I'm sharing that, I want to ask everyone to be super open-minded today and curious. And because I do share my point of view with my own vocabulary. So some things may be familiar, some not. Some may be totally like, what is this? And just take what resonates and leave the rest. And where you feel like, I'm not sure, go investigate what is true for you. So that's kind of my intention and question before I start to go deeper in my own journey. So, oh, we love your cat. Yeah, Anami, that cat has been like on the journey in my programs, such a superstar. So my name is Elaira, and I've been on this journey, and I've been on a mission of business and potential and human talent development for all my life. Like from, I think, 12 years old, I knew my mission. I knew it was going to be my path. One thing in my life I'm clear is about my mission. When I was 12, I went to the English teacher and I said, you're not good enough. I need another English teacher because I have a mission to accomplish here in the world. And so it started from there. So I think I came here with some kind of keys in me that I'm keep unlocking. And I think now I'm in a stage of my life and my embodiment of that vision in quite profound and deep way. And of course, we always expanding, always evolving. So as a background, I studied psychology. I always worked in human resources. My also angle right now is embodiment of your potential, because I'm also extrasensory, which really ramped up quite a bit recently in recent years. And what I realized also towards that new business paradigm is we are here not to, a lot of things are actually other way around, completely opposite that we were told to. I spent a lot of 11 years in a corporate world building businesses, experiencing that old business paradigm and the structures and ways and manipulative and patterns ways. So I kind of got a lot of samples. And then I went, now it's my 5th year when I have my own business, and I went complete dismantling and discovering and pioneering what this new business paradigm is for me. And I think it was through that journey of business and working with people and talents that I discovered that actually there's a lot of focus on all business paradigms, on the strategies, on mental concepts, on your skills, on your capabilities. But in all my experiences, when I encountered, it was at the end, it was not about your strategy or your skills issue or capability issue. It was always about your capacity issue. Capacity to receive, capacity to hold, capacity to manage, capacity to give. And this is where I start to deep dive even more. And I established this model of 8 capacities that I think are quite essential to be successful, conscious, new business paradigm entrepreneur. And then you can plug, or when you have that capacity to expand, to hold, to receive your desires in a way, and dream, and that exponential version of you, when you can embody that really, then you can plug your skills, your strategies, business models, and all the rest very easily, actually, very clearly. And I started to question almost everything, like unraveling every layer of the business and concepts and the way we relate and the way we conditioned. And I'm very grateful with the world where it's going, with working a lot on and healing a lot and doing a lot of trauma work in relationships, in communities, in our own personal traumas with parents and socialization. But I still feel somehow we skip all of that healing and rewiring in the business world. And somehow, that's the pillar that I chose to focus and pioneer and to share with people. And to maybe also a role model, it's the big word, but it's just, to show that it's possible to build business completely differently, completely from the different place of you, and build business with ease, and build business the way you want, and to feel in the business the way you want. So this is where my kind of trauma-informed and psychology background comes together with my business background and focusing on stretching your capacity. And this is where I kind of have very holistic approach of holding the depth of you and grounding the depth of you. Because what I also realizing, it's we all are here multidimensional beings, and we're trying to figure out what that is. But it's not me who said it, but someone said it, and it really stuck with me. It's not about, us trying to see what are these who are we as multidimensional being, but more how to be that multidimensional being in the human experience. And I think that's, for me, the other word of embodiment. How can we really ground and embody that multidimensional version of us? So I think that's a little bit of the background where I came from and what is my journey. And I really, my mission is to help people to rewire that busyness, that struggle, that work is hard mentality, that business conditioning, because it's literally just conditioning, and to invite people to feel like business can be so easeful and fun and pleasurable and with a flow, and actually even more homecoming of yourself. That business can be really just the access point to express more of you. And that's kind of my main mission, to help people to do that, to help people to find that that place. And I was talking with Theresa just before the call. I said, oh my gosh, I feel like in my own concepts and approach to what is new business paradigm. By the way, it's very fancy like slogan now, new business paradigm. Everyone is using it, but I just see a lot of patriarchy in heels, in a way. In other words, it's not new business paradigm, it's just the new dress. But what I really realized, it's in this all concept of marketing, when you have island A where people are with a problem or desire, where they want to kind of move to island B, and B is like what you offer as solution. I realized like I'm I'm island C. I'm totally I am totally different approach that I haven't encountered in the business world or in the coaching industry yet. And I think that's my point of view, what I want to share here, guys, and to have a conversation about.
It's so there's so much. Thank you. Thank you for giving us that background. And I just feel like it's so juicy. Maybe you can give, I have some examples too from my experience with you that I want to share, but maybe you can give a few examples of like what is old business paradigm and what's new business in the way that you see it. Like I'm thinking about some of the capacities we worked on, but like maybe like for those here who, because in the questionnaires too, we heard a lot of like, I still believe in the struggle, or like I want to unwind the patterns. And my experience working with you about like how to embody that is unwinding those old patterns. And that's looked like going deep into old memories and unwinding those old memories and trauma experiences. Like Elaira has done a lot of somatic work too. So there's a lot going into the body and unwinding. There's a lot of like looking at the way I choose to live everything, using the business as a mirror. Just this morning, I was using one of your tracks, which is about, oh, I can't remember what it's called, but like having a relationship with your business, energetic.
Yeah, I do that very often. Yeah, regularly, basically. Yeah.
And yeah, so like maybe, and that was about like really like having a relationship with the business, like opening my heart and like feeling what's my relationship and what does it want to show me about how to expand and how to, really be free. Because for me, everything's about becoming more free and expressed. So maybe you can give us a few examples, like to get into that nitty gritty of like what's an old way versus a new way in your own experience or how you show it with others.
Yeah, totally. This is, I can just talk 1 hour about that. I want to ask you guys just to know, to get a glimpse, like what do you feel if you just put the one core thing about new business paradigm, what do you feel it is for you, if you can put in the chat? Because there are a lot of qualities of it, but what is like one thing that stands out for you? Relaxation. Listening. Ease, freedom, questioning everything. Since capacity path, I question every take. Is it true to me, or do I do this because I think it's expected of me, or just the way things are being done? Yes, that's the unraveling process, and integrity and care. Oh my goodness, yes. Trust. Yeah, and by the way, I did all the podcast episodes where I elaborated like many qualities that I perceive as a new business paradigm. Like it's I think it's half an hour long or something like that. But what comes to me is the few things that comes up now for me. The fundamental thing is the old business paradigm was a lot about mental and a lot about doing. And for me, the new business paradigm is a lot about way of being. And doing comes from your way of being. And if your way of being and if you're relating in business is not very juicy and relaxing and easeful and free and joyful, it's very hard to create the doing that way. And I think it's almost every concept that I took, that I was taught in the old business paradigm or experienced in the old business paradigm, almost everything opposite is true. So I even if you take any department, every in your business ecosystem, it's almost opposite is true. So for example, yeah, let's take word trust, as Cecily says. It was a lot of business was created in the old business paradigm because there was no trust in yourself, in your gift, but also in the other. So then the need of manipulation comes in, the need of push, the need of agenda comes in. And this is where this manipulative marketing comes in. A lot of fundamentally, I think a lot old business paradigm is created from dysregulated nervous system, from the trauma, from the contraction. And you can feel in the energy everywhere, it ripples. And I think the new business paradigm for me fundamentally is about creating from regulated nervous system. And that is creating from ease, creating from deep inner peace, creating from relaxation and sense of freedom. And a lot of people, because I do a lot of nervous system work and a lot of somatic work, that's kind of my foundation, how I help people to shift in that different way of being. What I realized, a lot of people didn't even experience what is to feel safe or feel relaxed in the business. Like they don't have that imprint in their body. Like they were conditioned to be or busy, or go completely other way around and complete shutdown and freeze. And this functional freeze, you know, like I'm doing things, but I'm completely dissociated. I'm completely numb. I'm completely like out of the body sometimes, or depressed. Or like I'm afraid to slow down from this busyness because that doesn't feel safe. So that starts from that foundation for me, you know, to create from the healthy, regulated nervous system. And that's what I feel we've been so conditioned with, so much overwhelm, so much trauma in the business world. That's kind of amplified trauma, basically, in the old business world for me. And the new business paradigm for me stems from that easefulness, but also in very individualized, authentic way of creating your business. So there's no one size fits all in the business anymore, but like, okay, so what fits me, my body, how my cycles, how my energy work, what is my voice, what is the best way to express it? And it goes very, very, very individualized, and including all senses of your body, including all of your body, instead of just very mental concept, which sadly still a lot of people are there. So I could go a lot about it, but in a nutshell, that's what comes up for me now.
If anything comes up for you guys as Elaira's speaking to, feel free to put it in the chat. And we may not get to it till the end, but if you want to like live put your questions too, we can come back to them later, or just, wow. Like, I mean, for me, just to share some of my experience, like I remember Elaira told me during Capacity Path at one point, Theresa, you're a human doing. And I was like, oh no. It's like we were a couple months in already. It's like, and there's such a gentleness and love, but how to shift that, you know, it's like such a deep inner process. And I already had the experience with Ownstream of coming from the heart. You know, when Stephen and I first started Ownstream, we had so much mixed frequency going on. Like there was so much, and that was a couple of years ago, a few years ago, a few now, like 5 years ago, 6 years ago. Anyway, we had like we wanted to like share, you know, we really wanted to share with the world, but we were so trapped in old business paradigm. It was like, how are we writing our web page, and was it going to reach people, and like using all these like funnels and tips and tools and all this stuff. And it's like stuff I just kind of, it's like I kind of just laugh now because it so doesn't fit. And it didn't really fit then either, but I didn't know what I was doing. I was coming from such a, even though I worked in the nonprofit world, it was the same thing. It was corporate. It was like rigid schedules and, you know, the kinds of promotional schedules, and like just a really rigid, actually, and struggling with money all the time too. Anyway, so much baggage, right? But like when this new phase of Ownstream came on, it was so natural. It was so easy. Like it was just heart space opening. And I was finally having that experience of like doing what I loved. I didn't know what that meant before. I was like, I was trying to find it from a mental place. How am I going to find what I love? How am I going to do what I love? Because I was so trapped in those old conditionings, like you were talking about. So that piece was there before I joined Capacity Path with you, of the like having a heart business that I loved. But I was still operating from all of these old ways, major dysregulated nervous system, major do. And like pretty much everybody on this call knows me really well at this point. Actually, I was like, wow, everybody's probably heard me say this before, but like I'm like really like operate from that fight or flight, do. Like I know that's where I come from. So working with you has been about like slowing that down, like choosing to create space. And I'm still struggling with it. Like during the Capacity Path, I created like Fridays as the day when I was going to like, Elaira called it CEO day, but like basically just create dreaming space for Ownstream. Not, okay, I'm responding to like 100 messages today. No, it was like, this is just, I'm going to fill my own cup. That's an expression she uses a lot too, which just totally I didn't understand. I mean, I get it mentally. It's like, I'm going to fill my own cup first. What? How do I do that? I never fill my cup. So then it was like, okay, before I dive in at like 9 o'clock, because that's what I was conditioned to do, like, I'm going to just relax for an hour. Maybe I'm going to listen to one of your tracks, which is all about like heart opening and relaxing. And like, they're so gentle and loving. I'm just going to lay on the ground and like get into my body, or I'm going to walk around, or I'm going to stretch, or I'm going to go walk on the grass or whatever, like create space and then have that dreaming space. Because for me, it's been, and I'm still, guys, like struggling to change that pattern. And it's about that trust you were talking about, trust that I can do it a different way. Because I know mentally that that's right, that this isn't the way to create in a new world. It's not from like that conditioned mental fight or flight mode, but opening that up and then like, oh, okay, after creating space, creating structures. I was another capacity, structural capacity, and then relational and boundaries. How do I relate to others such that I'm not creating that space? How do I like create structures to support me so I'm only doing what I love? And oh, there's like, it's like so layered and deep. But I just wanted to share some of like where like my own textures of like my journey with that, because it's ongoing, of course.
Yeah, I just want to comment on that. Like, first of all, I just want to acknowledge that journey. I also, went through this, we don't have role models of new business paradigm, like few maybe, embodied way, but it doesn't mean what worked for them, it will work for you. So it's nice to be inspired, but it doesn't mean it's your kind of shoes that fits you. So there's no other way, just to go and experiment and put the layers who you are and who you want to be in the business. So I can so relate to the business, to what you're sharing. And also, what you just said, like there is a reason we call human being instead of human doing. I think there's in that word already. So I think that's what I'm inviting, and I want everyone to invite more in your business, that human being to be grounded, and what that is to be human in the business, like literally, so yeah, and discover who you are and how you want to relate with the business, and how you want to relate with your client, how you want to um experience, how do you want to feel. And that's such a deep work, and this kind of shedding process and questioning everything. And I love, and now I feel like from that spaciousness I also kind of do a lot, but the doing is so different. It doesn't feel like I'm doing a lot, because it just feels easeful, it feels spacious, it feels like on the kind of flow that my body is taking me. So it's more kind of body-led business, in other words, instead of like mind-based business. And for me, what you're sharing.
Yes, I have that experience too. It's so different doing if you're also being. Like that's how I feel about it. It's like before I was just doing, like literally from like a rote mental, got to get this done, to-do list, productivity, hours in the day, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I know the feeling, I know how different it is when there's space and it's coming from inspiration. Like I have the real different experience of what that is. And honestly, sometimes I have that joy of inspiration that gets contained within boxes of old mental patterns. It's really a like another thing some people said in the questionnaires, which we've talked a lot about, is like being between worlds right now. You know, this sort of like we talk about this in Ownstream quite a lot, like that straddling worlds. And I feel like inside of myself, I feel that on a daily basis. The expansions and the openings, and then like the contracted little passageways where I let my life run through before, you know? So like opening up those, yeah, just exercising the muscle sort of the new way. That's my experience of working with you. It's like exercising a muscle of like a new way. And you've referred to titration from the trauma concept before, right? It's like kind of a little bit, okay, move a little in this direction, open up a little more, open up a little more.
Yeah. Yeah, because our nervous system is like a driving force of everything. Like it owns your emotions, it governs your actions, it governs your mental clarity, everything, basing your hormones. So if your nervous system doesn't feel safe, and it's the main role to keep you safe, you will not do anything. It will sabotage you. It will find way to keep you where you are. So I always say you are in your business where you are because you're feeling safe there. Your nervous system feels safe there. And our nervous system will always choose familiar hell than unfamiliar heaven. Because, oh, wow, I have no clue what to expect there. I may die. So I rather stay here because at least I know how to deal with that. So that's for me, like, when I realized that, it's like, that's why this capacity work really came into place, because there is part of nervous system healing and releasing that trauma response, and knowing how to regulate, knowing when you start to create your business from dysregulation and how your body, because I had people who said, like, I didn't know, I never felt inner peace. I don't know how that feels in my body. It's just so much trauma or functioning all their lives that's familiar. But then it comes that other part of nervous system where you really need to expand and stretch and show yourself, like, oh, maybe if I just show up in a relaxed way with, or maybe if I delegate, or if I give myself Friday as CEO day, I'll survive and I will not die, and I still have loving bonds, and so you give your nervous system examples like, oh, okay, expand, expand, expand. And that's what, for me, the foundation of capacity work is, to expand your ability to hold and to receive and to manage more, and to allow yourself to desire more. Like, for me, new business paradigm, it's so exciting because it's kind of almost like the masterpiece of art, crafting, craftsmanship. Wow, you call that. Where you just can choose to be free and redefine for yourself who you want to be, how you want to show up, how you want to relate, what business means to you, how we define wealth, how we experience wealth, how we embody that, like how we express our gifts, like what are the forms of that. Like, it's just such a, for me, piece of art, actually, to have this entrepreneurship journey. But people don't even get into that second part of art because they are so stuck in those very limited conditioning patterns. And if you don't release those, and if you don't do this work, this capacity work, it's that's why you go in loops. That's why you, instead of like having 10 years of entrepreneurship experience, usually people have like 1 year repeated 10 times. So it's kind of the same thing. So yeah, that's why I'm so excited about new business paradigm, a new way of being in the business, and new way of relating.
Yeah, I appreciate that example of the nervous system, like taking little steps, because creating a Friday was like a really scary thing for me at first. And then when I did it, I was like, oh my God, this is the most amazing thing ever. Because it's like, if I don't take those chances, I will stay in the same place. Like, I know that enough by now. Like, I've been doing the same patterns and doing the same things for a long period of time. And it could be something that small, like it doesn't feel small to me necessarily, but something so small as like creating an afternoon. It was even just an afternoon. It wasn't even a day. Okay, this afternoon is for me. what? Like it's not even that, it's not, that's a crazy thing that it can feel like that little of a thing, but it can expand or change so much to like take those leaps.
Awesome.
Maybe you can give us a window, Elaira, into like what's a week like for you, or like what's like how do you work? Like what's it like? Like what's operating in the new business paradigm?
Well, I will, okay. What I decided to build my business model and my relating with the business, starting from the lifestyle up. So first I laid out the lifestyle I want to live, because I also, that's another thing that is other way around. We are taught in all the business paradigm that, we have to work and then our lifestyle happens after. But I was like, why? And then we always unfulfilled because, fundamentally we want to have the lifestyle we want to have and then incorporate business into that. And this is where I want to do exercise with you guys now. Can I do it?
Yeah, please.
So if you can close your eyes and imagine your dream house, something you always like wanted, and just go wild. It's just a dream now. How does it look? And most importantly, how does it feel? What are the sensations when you're in that house? And just feel that in your body, those sensations, this feeling. And when you're ready, open your eyes. And I'm so happy to see so many smiles. I see you having fun there in your house. Can you write me down 3 words, which were like key sensations of your feeling? And this is, Theresa, it's relevant to the answer. So I'm just taking the group with it. Cozy, beautiful, nourishing. Yay. Calm, sturdy, spacious, natural, light-filled, space, freedom, beauty, warm, natural, soft, peace-loving, light, beauty. Oh, peaceful, content, happiness, expansive, warm, creative. So mine was also expansive, cozy, and I think what like heartfelt or something like that. And this is where I started. That's how I want to feel in my business. That's how I want to feel every day building my business house, in a way, business model. So that was my standing point. And then I went like, okay, so spacious. It's like, how do I create my business model and my week and my work and my programs that it allows that? So I have a lot of flow during my days. And then cozy, I have, you see, plants and soft stuff, my tea. And I have so many details about it. And I have different places where I go for inspiration to have that coziness. And I realized also doing really long manual of my lifestyle, like, oh, okay, so what are the programs? How do I work? Do I want to show up online? Do I want to show up in different places? How much I want to work? Where? What is nourishing environment for me? All the details, like where do I show up on Tuesdays? To the detailed daily life towards big ambitions, like, okay, I want to build this heart sanctuary kind of paradigm of my business, and I was like, okay, so yoga is part of my lifestyle, and that's part of my business start, so I'm incorporating in part of the business. And I also noticed like how my cycles works, like how my body, so I create and I build my business in seasons. So I have the season of like spring where like new programs rising, new people, new energy. And you can feel that, guys, like I'm exploding with new sprouts. And now I'm in the season of winter, where like autumn towards winter, where I'm finishing all my programs and I will have few weeks rest to integrate and go in my hermit. So I kind of incorporate and build my business and my then also day-to-day life based on my structures, my structural capacity, based on how my body functions, how my energy, how my own authentic way relating with the world functions, and also what I desire, who do I want to be, how do I want to feel. So that's a little bit, I think, the question to answer your question.
Yeah, I like how you started with a dream of how you want to feel, and then went from there, instead of like, how am I going to get there? Which I think is, like you said, it's kind of, that's how we usually think of, I think that's how we often think about it in an older way, is like, how can I get there? But over here, we're still with all those conditionings and whatever. And so then it's hard to get there. But if you open up that space, like literally, like open up the space, like the house, it starts to take you to the place where you want to go right now.
Yeah, and this is where your nervous system starts to feel safe and connect with the feeling. And then, the forms often even just show up or comes from that very spacious, open place, because also you relax. And when you relax, your whole field, energetic field opens up. Then you become magnetic, and instead of like from contracted nervous system, it's very limiting. And then you have to work harder. So yeah, and instead of like adapting to the business, and if you don't adapt to your lifestyle, it's quite hard to even promote or market your business, and then every business becomes like the same, so you don't know even like what's the difference. So yeah, I think that's the part of like creating your own way, that really adapting business towards you instead of you adapting to the business.
Yeah. And, we had said we were going to talk about what success is in this paradigm. And I'd love for you to talk more about that too, because I feel like you opened that up for me, like where do you want to go? Right. And you talked about wealth too. It'd be interesting to talk about what success looks like for you, because this whole money thing is also like and that might not even be what success looks like to you. But this whole money thing is such a thicket, I feel like, in our times, because and we've talked a lot about this, right? It's like, what is money capacity? What is receiving capacity? Like, how is that relevant to how you define success in the new business paradigm and in like the world we're in today? I'd love to hear you talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, and this is very important question to also start with yourself. Like, what is success in your definition of business in this stage where you are, in this cycle where you are? Because if you don't do that, you will notice like then you will be enforced by other people's definition of success, and then you start to kind of, oh, I'm not where I need to be according to society, or I don't have enough followers, I don't have enough money, and then you start to the space fills in. But if you center yourself and say, okay, this is what success for me now, this is what I want to experience, this is it, then you compare yourself with yourself. And for me, it changes. Like, I review that constantly, like what's success for me in different stages of my business. Now for me, like new success that I'm reaching for, I realize my body really wants to have like maybe 1 month vacation, or like every 3-4 months. And I was like, oh, how do I structure that I could have that, like that could honor completely my cycles? Because if I don't honor that, then I just delay this parasympathetic breathe out nervous system phase. And how do I arrange all my structures around that. But also for me, success in business is the way I feel, but also like, oh, I just so love to have slow mornings with my cat. My cat, shows up near my bed and is like, let's go out. And then he forces me to go barefoot on the grass, and I'm just, having our ritual together. And I was like, oh my gosh, I just so love to have that, and then so that's so different from, oh, this amount of money, this amount of followers, this rich, but the biggest, I think, success for me is the intimacy with my clients I have. Like this, for me, sometimes I just want to cry, like also the how deep we go and how like vulnerable, how sacred the space is, and how much it enriches me and opens my heart, and then I can give more, and it's kind of multiplying from the place of love. But also like how loyal like my clients are. Like if they join, they just like join everything. That for me, it's like you cannot buy with any money. That for me is like ultimate success for me, what I want to experience, because like relational capacity for me, and intimacy and the bonds for me with everything, not only with people, but with my business, with money, with myself, with my gifts, with my offers. That's for me, if I have that juicy thing where I wake up and I was like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to go to my business. That for me is like, oh my gosh, you can pay me $1 million. If you don't give me this feeling, I don't want it, So again, like, what is it for you in every stage where you of your growth and of building your business? I want to hear, guys, like, what is success for you in your business? For now, where you are. And it can be like finding my voice, or I don't know. I'm curious if you just write one thing that really feels like if you had that, you would feel really at home with your business. The freedom to create whatever I want. Yay. Yeah. I can feel it. Oh, so juicy. And you are already almost there, right? Enemy. Yeah. You are so good. Designing around my seasons. Yes. Yeah. I will release also soon a podcast episode about feminine and masculine way of creating business. It was kind of really strong. Peace and naturalness. Time, freedom, being inspired all the time. Yeah. Making a big impact for my clients. Yeah, and you see when you even name that, how your direction and priorities and focus immediately shifts. Because if you don't have that, you get distracted. You get all over the place, or you get busy with things, or say yes to things that actually doesn't contribute to that. Feeling fully and usefully expressed and of service, enough income to feel fully supported, joy and fun, easeful flowing days, spacious mornings for me too. Yay! Yay, Andrea! Cheers to that. Freedom, ease, and mutual benefit for the community. And I want to bring that word ease comes a lot, and that's my favorite word. But what I realized also, we don't have that imprint of business and ease. People don't have experienced that in their body, in their cells. Because when you just hear the word business, it automatically, like, everyone has kind of contraction or something. So there's deep rewiring needed from very, very deep place, what is to feel easeful in relationship with business. Preparing food for people that they absolutely love so much that they can help, but sharing it with others, and my basic needs are taken care of. Amazing. Yeah. Oh, I feel all of that. And you feel like just reading that, you feel like your body, your systems like opens up, like, oh, that feels so good. Like, um, and then you start to create from very different place also. What is for you, Theresa?
Yeah, I feel like it's I was writing a little before this call, like continued feelings of expansiveness and growth and freedom in doing what I love, and then feeling well supported in doing it. So I love the spaciousness everyone's talking about. That really resonates with me. I love spacious mornings, just more space in general around everything I'm doing, and a feeling of flow and joy. And then kind of flipping the old idea of like the number of followers or the number of members of Ownstream or something like that. Just like, and that what I'm doing is connecting with other people. Like that I feel like there's a real flow of like relation and connection feels really important, because even if I loved what I was doing and no one seemed to resonate with it, I'd probably yeah, I mean, I probably would feel like, oh, there's more growth for me here. Like there's more, because I think we all, I don't know, many of us, I'm feeling it here. Like we dream of doing something that we love, and that we can feel all these things around: ease, spaciousness, self-love, connection with others. But then we think we don't know how to, like Cecily said, like get my basic needs met. And how will I support myself doing that? Like there's kind of like, at least for me, there has been like a wall, like, oh, now I feel what I love. I feel what it feels like doing it. I love doing it. I could do more of it. And then there's this kind of wall. How am I going to get supported doing that? And I feel like that's such a big challenge that many of us face. So like even now, right, I feel like that come up. There's like a blockage that comes up. So I don't know, maybe you can address that a little bit too. I don't know if anyone else feels that, but
I'd love to address that because it's that scarcity mindset that kicks in, which is associated with business, associated with money. And what I realize, and how, like, again, my point of view, how I deal with that, I I believe everything you desire, you will have it. And for me, it's not like, oh, I don't have it now. It's more for me, it's like I'm working towards it. Like I'm preparing myself, my capacity to receive it, capacity to hold it, my body to calibrate to that. So it's not that I'm lacking it, like it's not there, because that you can feel how immediately it closes your nervous system down, like it contracts immediately. But more is like, okay, I'm unfolding to that. I'm getting ready to that, just that like opens up again. So, and then it again coming back to that feeling of like, oh, so what is it that I want? How can I get it closer towards my body so it doesn't feel so far away and disembodied or mental concept. And the same with the money, the same with the business you want, the same with the clients you want. And I notice often, when you do have these desires or this definition, like as you say, spaciousness, like it's a big thing for you. But if you don't name it as your definition of success, then you kind of get unfulfilled because you're busy, but actually underneath it all, you want spaciousness. So if you don't build your business around it and business model and structural capacity around that, you will always feel unfulfilled, So that's why this definition of success is so important. And it changes for me. It changes, like I reviewed every month, like in a way, because I'm just changing and growing and exploding so fast. Sometimes I cannot keep up with myself, but okay, that's the journey I chose.
I love that. And I feel like, yeah, that starting with that feeling of spaciousness, and also that sort of like capacity, the operating from the capacity experience or the capacity path, I'm thinking it's like a mirror to that for me. So it's not like, yeah, if I don't have it now, I won't have it. It's like, as I expand the capacities,
Yeah.
it becomes possible. That's what I learned from working with you. It's like, oh, it's in me. Oh, I have a
Yeah.
core belief I must work hard to make money. This is one we went deep on, right? Like go deep into that belief. Oh, that
Yeah.
I don't believe I can do what I love and be supported. Oh,
Yes.
what? Like unraveling that and creating capacity in that, or like you showing me that like I I felt scared to expand Ownstream more because I didn't have the capacity to do any more than I'm currently doing. I said, oh, I want more people to discover these amazing people we have in Ownstream and all this stuff we're doing. And you're like, oh, I'm like, should I get out there more? Am I not talking about it enough? And you were like, no, it's that you kind of led me through a process of seeing where like, I almost didn't have capacity for more people to enter Ownstream. And I was like, whoa. So what I want is like actually limited by the space I was holding or contracting, so to speak. That's amazing.
Yeah, and that's a lot, and that's why I'm saying it's always at the end about capacity. I just had a session the other day with a client, and she was like, I have so many ideas, I don't know what to do, and it's just overwhelming. And then I kind of getting in the freeze, and then I'm sabotaging, and then I don't do anything. I know I should go and write them down, but I just don't do it. I don't know. It's just so in my head. I have a headache now that it's like, how do I deal with it? And it came from that very judgmental, like something wrong with me place. But then, we start to talk about it. And I was like, but what is your relationship with so many inspiring ideas? Like, there's nothing wrong with you and those creative ideas. It's just your capacity to hold them all is not there. So you just get overwhelmed, like you would be a kid and you get responsibility job as adult. Like you just cannot handle that. You don't have capacity for that. And then just that shift, it was for her like, oh my gosh, true. Yeah. I sometimes also have this overload of ideas, and I was like, okay, go to someone else now, or come back in the morning. Not, like you can have a relationship with everything. I believe we have a relationship with everything. So, but at the end, it's like that capacity thing, and different capacities that we looked into, those 8 capacities that I kind of defined. And there are so much more, but I feel like those 8 that I look into and build the foundation, kind of more key ones that most people struggle.
Yeah. Maybe you can, Elaira, and then we'll open it up for questions. Like we've talked a lot about it here and there, but maybe you can talk about what your like core offerings are right now, so people have a sense of that. And as a window into one of the, as I mentioned before this, Elaira and I wanted to think about where's Ownstream at, where are people here at, so that she might be able to offer something mini, maybe of one of her programs or something in Ownstream. So maybe as a window into what you're currently offering, and people might have ideas about what could support them as well. And then
Yeah.
we'll up so you guys get ready for whatever you want to ask too.
Yeah, and I kind of want to just take a pause here before we go into that, and just to kind of let you guys take a breath, and again feel your body, and just maybe move a little bit how your body wants to move, and just feel how all that information, all this conversation touches you for the moment. What lands? How do you feel? Mentally, emotionally? And just maybe share in the chat also, like, what really touched you, what's going on with you, what resonates, what's not. I just would like to know, because then I can bring your question from that place. The being. Yay. Human being, not human doing. Spaciousness. I feel excited. I want to go deeper. Yay. Deeper is my favorite way of being. I see Monica has a question, I guess. Is it okay, Theresa? I will address like how people can go deeper after, because I want to see where people are and then I can share for later.
Monica, did you want to share where you felt touched, or did you have a question? We'll save it if it's a question for after what Elaira shares next. Oh, you can unmute if you want.
Yeah, it would be helpful to hear you. You unmute.
Okay, sorry about that. It was about capacity. Like it just really landed, and the imagery that came was like a kaleidoscope, how nature is ever changing, ever moving, and we get stamped an image, and it's like this freeze frame of this ever moving kaleidoscope, and there's not much capacity with that freeze frame. And so yeah, each time the word capacity came up, it was like oh yes, we need to like break out of that frozen image and start to move and flow again. So I didn't know how to put that in the chat, so thank you.
That is so beautifully expressed. Yeah. And you summarize it so well. Yes. And that's what I realized, like this is what I encountered so many times, like, and let me know, guys, if you relate to that. Like I see people with so much potential and the skills are there, and then we start working, or we say yes, and then the shit show starts, or they sabotage, or they cannot hold it, that epic opportunity they dreamed about. So at the end, it's always about that capacity to receive stuff you want to receive effortlessly, to hold things, to hold more of yourself, more of your clients, more of your business, more of experiences you want to experience, and that's and even your business, and maybe different offers and different skills you want to hold, but also your capacity to give, like what, and it's often like with that heart opening that comes in. So it's more for me, yeah, ever changing, and you are ever changing, and it's like your desires ever changing. So it's more like, how can I hold more of that? And the thing is, what I also discovered, we are so conditioned and so good with the struggle. Like we have huge capacity for struggle. I bet all of you here. And we have such a little capacity for the goodness in our life. Like when it comes to goodness, like people don't even dare to dream. Don't even have dare to dream for that, So this is where I'm kind of inviting people like, hey, let's expand that. Like who you want to be, how you want to be, what do you want to experience, what do you want to have? And work on your capacity to kind of being able to hold of that, so your nervous system doesn't go into complete freeze and panic attack. That's where like people, when they win a lot of money, and you heard many stories when they just go and sabotage and or just spend it or give it away, and then suddenly they come back to the poorer than they were, because they just simply didn't have capacity to hold this amount of money. Their nervous system was completely freaked out. So, it finds a way to bring you back to what it feels safe, what it feels familiar. Love it. So should we go a little bit with questions, and then I can bring maybe the offerings, or like how you can go deeper. So where do we start? Anna Marie is asking about sort of facet of competitiveness, on how breathless this feeling, in my experience, how deeply unsettling. Would you like Anna Marie just unmute and just to have a conversation about it? Because I feel like there's like more stuff.
I would love that. Thank you. Yeah, it's feeling like a big something really coming loose these days, but it's all in my face. So the rest of that was like, well, my question was like, well, what is, so there's competitiveness, and what would I prefer? And it just feels so huge. And like just a whole new world, like just like, this is what it is, the new economy, the new business paradigm, and it's not competitiveness. And yeah, so I never saw it in myself all my life. I've never been known or pointed out to be competitive or anything like that, but I think it's a part, I would venture to say it's a part of all of our programming. That's how we were all like, you have to do this and this and this and this so that someone else doesn't get there first or get ahead of you, because then you won't have enough. It's very small, scarcity, non-trusting.
Yeah. And I will poke you and challenge here. I don't find anything wrong with competitiveness. And there are people who are thriving in it, and they're designed to be competitive in this world. I think what this experience is inviting you is to take leadership, self-leadership, and to define your relational capacity. This is where you have freedom to choose, how do you want to relate in business? I have zero competitiveness in my bubble, in my business, because at a certain point, I also, by the way, I feel you on that so much. I also like don't thrive on competitiveness. I'm getting then over proving myself and pressure, and then it all goes wrong there for me. But because it's not my design, and probably not yours. So it's the question, like, how do you want to relate with your clients, with your business? Like, how do you want to feel in that relationship? Because I do believe everything is relational. And the thing, we have the freedom to choose. Like, if you don't want that, like, just create your business and ecosystem like that. You don't have that. You don't have those people in your world. You don't have clients like that. You don't have to. The thing with the freedom, like, we start entrepreneurship, we start business because we want to have freedom. But the real challenge comes to claim that freedom. Like, we often, like, we're so scared, like, those birds who where like the cage is open, fly. It's like, oh, what do I do with that now? You have freedom to choose and create the reality you want, and create bonds that you want. It's like, with your partner, like, if you have this abusive, unhealthy relationship, why would you want to be in it? You can choose different partner that you feel good, you feel yourself, you feel at peace. And the same way with your business, like, or money, why would you be in relationship with money that feels dirty and heavy, like, or your clients, it's like, you have freedom to choose anything. You don't own anything, anyone.
That was so powerful, your first thing that you said, which you always just blow everything up like right away. So it was like, oh, but I'm trying to remember what it was, but it was something like, well, first of all, don't make competitiveness into something wrong. So I saw immediately how I had made this bad, this good.
Yeah.
And how competitiveness is not necessarily a bad thing. I'm not there yet. Like, I think I'm tasting what you mean. Like, it can keep you on your edge, I guess, being your best.
Yeah, it's just inviting you, showing, like, to take that self-leadership of, how do I want to relate? Like, what do I want to experience? Like, it's just inviting you to craft. I crafted all my business like that, like, through filtering. This is yes, this is no, this is what I want to experience more. This is what I don't want. There are no strategies. There are no pathway. There's no 5-year goals anymore. It's just filtering. I was like, who I want to be, who do I want to experience? Like, how do I want to feel in this? Beautiful. Oh, I want to have time for others also. I get impatient with myself around increasing my capacity. I feel like there's a little bit of trauma response because, you know, this impatience usually is a trauma response. And I also have a blog about it because often when we are this impatient or want to hurry things up is because somewhere in childhood, our needs were not met and we're not listened. And this is where we feel like, oh, I lack of something, I will not be met, so I have to kind of push or rush. You are where you need to be, you know, and every business has its own time to blossom. Every person has its own time to blossom, like every flower in nature or tree. Okay, and I see Andrea. Oh, nice to see you, Andrea, finally. You know, I saw your emails, but we never kind of met. Space for values, definition, success, spaciousness, ease, heart-centeredness, how that builds the muscle, the capacity. Beautiful. Yay. I love looking at the definition of success. Yes. Yeah, to create whatever you want. I'm exhausted emotionally and on every level, really. I'm sick right now, so that isn't helpful, but I'm so sorry, Cecily. And if you feel like, you know, switching off or going away, it's completely fine. I can imagine, and this is an example of like you were at the capacity, so maybe it's not even good for you to be in the space with a lot of energetic and people. But I'm grateful for the downtime to doing, working on ditching crap, organizing the being with accepting this is rest time. Yeah, and that's another thing that we are not conditioned in the old business paradigm to have that rest time. Like that's not work. And this is where is the main reason for burnout culture. Because, you know, like all our daily life, and this is, okay, I will bring that. I have nervous system foundational program where I invite people in to kind of learn to how their nervous system works and how their body works. So you understand how everything is going to this activated state and release, you know, like nature, breathe in, breathe out, like spring rising and dying. And in the old business paradigm, we were so taught to just to stay in that active state. And we never really allowed, and it's not structured our society to allow that breathe out state, that incorporation, rest time. And this is where you get overstimulated and burned out. And it's very normal that people feel then emotionally and physically and mentally exhausted because, again, that capacity is burned out. So I'm planning to do, because Theresa poked me and other people asked me to, I have this nervous system foundational program where it's very powerful. It's transmission, it's education about very deep elaboration, a lot of practices and exercises and tracks to go deeper to understand. And I feel like this is the foundational part if you want to start to work with me. But it's self-paced. And then Theresa and other people started to poke me like, how about we do it live again? So I'm thinking if there will be enough people, I'm thinking just to start to do a live 2 months program about nervous system capacity in October. So if you guys would be interested, you can jump there, because my most expensive and most exciting and really like accelerating program is Capacity Path. I think that's my signature program. but it's quite intense. Like it's very high frequency, and it's built very powerfully to support you in different shapes and forms. Like I created probably the most powerful support system for you to expand your business that I could imagine, like that I could come up. And yeah, Theresa, I want maybe to ask your opinion, because we never got to talk about like what do you experience, what do you share about Capacity Path. But I feel like it really covers your personalized attention, where your nervous system is and where each capacity is, and then go into kind of a bit of healing, but also the coaching, individualized support, but also the group support, elaborating on different capacities. And every month we go through that cycle of different angle of support, and it's 5 months program. Because what I also learned, our nervous system needs time to rewire. It really takes time. About inner work, it takes time. So yeah. Theresa, you want to comment, or should we?
Yeah, I will. I didn't know if you were going to go to the next question. But I'll comment first. Yeah, I mean, I shared a lot of examples today, but part of the reason, so most of the people who were in Capacity Path had already done the nervous system program, but I hadn't. And so I felt like I was a little bit catching up on that because they had already gone so deep in that area. And for me, I think for everybody probably, but for me, that's a huge area of needed capacity. So like I mentioned, I'm very operate in fight or flight, and have been doing that since I was a young child, like just trying to keep it up, keep everything up, hold everything up. And so like expanding into those like trusts of like, I'm going to take this time to do this, or I'm going to have a spacious morning, or I'm going to take Fridays. Like we did a lot of deep work. What I really loved about Capacity Path, well, in addition to just the 8 capacities, which maybe you can mention, Elaira, I don't know if you said what they are yet, but maybe you did. I can't remember. But they're all so relevant. Like there wasn't one that I was like, oh no, I've got this area. Like, no, it was like, and they're like, really, I know Anami's laughing because she was in the program too. Like there's not one area that's like, oh, I got this. Or like, even if I thought I did, I really didn't. And they're very interrelated too. Like I mentioned about visibility and structural before, like, it's like, oh, I don't have enough structures to support me in like growing Ownstream more and bringing more people in. So like, I don't want to be visible because I'm like, I haven't created that space yet, that kind of thing. Like, oh, I want to hold more people in Ownstream. I want more people to find this. And like, I hadn't expanded my own structural capacity. And that's related to others too, boundaries and relational. And like, there's many interwoven. And like Elaira said, it's like, it's kind of infinite, but like the buckets help capture a variety of capacities. Right. But I really liked also just to comment on this, and I want to make sure there's time for the other questions, is like, I love the way that you organized it, Elaira, like, because there's sort of like, she called it was like 4 weeks. It was like every week there was a session, master class, master mind, master heart, master body. And I loved going on all those layers, because like master class was, she'd kind of just like share for an hour about these capacities, and then we'd have questions, and it was just kind of like brilliance flowing out. Like I took all these notes, and like so much resonance. Like today I had so much resonance again. And then like we would go into master heart. I can't remember which was first, master heart. Master heart, where we would take, like, we each have a half hour of focus on the next call, and we would go deep into like a trauma, or like, go deep into our heart about a blockage, basically, of some sort, some limitation, some perceived limitation, like really track it back very lovingly and gently. And Elaira's very intuitive, which you may feel just in her responses to you. And they always are very spot on in my experience. And then mastermind was like taking an aspect of a business and kind of like troubleshooting it, sort of, but like a lot of time it's much deeper than that. Like it's like much deeper than just like coming at it from a mental perspective. But the idea was taking a particular challenge in the business and bringing it, and then approaching it. And often that for me would go back to a heart, like a needed expansion of capacity. It pretty much always does in some sense of expansion, like the one I just mentioned. And then master body was, we're really getting into the body. So I really like that way of taking it too. And I told Elaira, like, I could just keep going with that program forever, because there's always more. But but I do feel like there's so much expansion and self-awareness and like pointers I had to next directions. Like after the 5 months, like I was like, oh, I want to go deeper in nervous system. Like this is really like, this is an area for me. Like I have a lot more unwiring to do. And I just feel excited about that. That feels like the next area. It's not like I've mastered the other capacities, but
but it's never you master, it's always like next level of deepening on that, because you're also going. And the funny thing is that with those capacities, like you may, and the 8 capacities I will mention because I think I did mention. So what you heard, nervous system capacity, which is like bedrock of capacity work. I kind of do capacity expansion in line with your nervous system expansion. Then relational capacity, also very foundational, because looking in the psychological point of view, what is your relationship with different aspects of your business ecosystem, from this avoidant, anxious, or healthy attachment style, because that reflects how it shows up. And then receiving capacity is where are your blockage to, and usually like where your heart is closed to receive, or what are the rules that you make that you cannot receive or not worthy to receive whatever you want to receive. And then visibility capacity is, what they call marketing, but I call it way more broader, is how you show up yourself in the world with your business, but also how do you see in a part of yourself, internal visibility. And then structural capacity, which is surprisingly a very important part and underlooked. It's a lot about the structures, business models, people, systems that are holding you so you can stand up and grow. And if you want to build and grow your business, structural capacity, you will bump into that sooner or later. So it needs to kind of grow. Boundaries, it's a big one. I think it's self-explanatory. Money capacity. And self-leadership capacity is also like a very big one. So I think I mentioned all of them now, 8. And yeah, we're going deepening on each of them. And the funny thing, what I noticed, we have inventory of all those capacities. And just that inventory gives you idea, like how many blind spots you may already have about each capacity, how deep they go, how ripples. And often with capacity work, I noticed like you have the blind spots, you need to other people to point you like, oh, here or this way. And often, like if you think you have visibility capacity issue, like Theresa brought this example, like, oh, I think I have a visibility issue, but actually often is different capacity at the core that you have a blind spot. So it was about your structural capacity at the end. So it's very, 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 very deep work, but it's very liberating. And all of the people who were in the program like really unfolded in such a different way. It's so hard even to explain to me. I was thinking like, how do I even share that? Because it just comes from such a different way of being, like from such a different axis, that work. Yeah, and I'm starting a new group starting in the end of August in Capacity Path. So if you want to join, I give free call to hop with me, and we can chat and we can talk. And I also decided if you join till the end of this month, I want to offer you extra one-on-one coaching sessions so we can calibrate and prepare you in August, during the month of August for the start of that program. Especially if you didn't do work with me before, it can be like you see very different vocabulary and approach and point of view. So if you feel like, just let me know later and I can share you the link to hop on the call, and then we can see. Yeah, it's kind of alignment call. Yeah, so those are 2 main programs that I have coming up in the September and the October, basically. Do we need to have done anything in advance to join the Capacity Path? No. So the Capacity Path is basically built on your individualized approach. So nervous system program is more educational, and you kind of join the program and do the exercises and you get integration. But Capacity Path is literally structured around support you where you are and what you need in your business growth and expansion, like in every block you encounter, to support you there. So in a way, there are people who join. The only requirement is to have a business, because that program is to expand your business. If you don't have a business, it's a bit different phase of the business. But if you have a business and you want to expand and grow and build that from the very different place to rewire relationship and capacity, then whatever, if you just started or you have 5 years, it doesn't matter, because at the end it's about capacity, and everyone has different capacity path. So yeah, you don't need anything in advance done. Yay. I hope I answered. Yeah, I see there's the hand. Andrea, you have a question or sharing?
Yeah, I had kind of a lot of different things going through my mind, but a little clarification, I guess. I think you said that the nervous system program you're going to be starting in October. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. You mentioned September a little bit ago, and so I was confused. I'm not sure what it was that's happening.
Well, Capacity Path starts on August 31st, so it's really starting in September. So maybe that's why.
Does.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Okay, that helps. But you had also talked about the possibility of offering maybe something in Ownstream. For myself, I've been hearing about all this, since you did the nervous system piece in the fall, and really, I can tell, I know I have a lot to expand in terms of my capacities. And it looks like the nervous system program is no longer self-paced available, but that was also a little challenging for me, like not only where I'm at financially now, but also even the capacity in my life. Like, would I actually do it, create the space for it? So I'm glad you're doing another live one for sure. As far as in Ownstream, like to have at least a few sessions to just I kind of feel like I'm stuck in that cycle of being where it's comfortable. I've kind of done a little bit of expanding, into, guarding my mornings to be more spacious, and, just really craving that spaciousness and trying as best I can to create it. And yet, I think it's probably more the nervous system piece that feels really critical for me, like to have a few more tools to just kind of be slowly but surely opening that up a little bit more would be awesome. So I just wanted to clarify a couple of those things and express that.
Yeah, beautiful. So just to comment, like nervous system capacity is still possible self-paced. It's just it's still possible you can join, and you can write me comments and questions, and I kind of on the journey with you. But because a lot of people ask me to have kind of live support or some kind of support groups, I decided to do it. It will be the same pre-recorded modules, but also there will be live sessions and support groups and Telegram groups. So it will be more expanded version if you want to. And yeah, that's what you're sharing feels like. Yeah, it is nervous system, but also it's always nervous system at the end, at the core of it. Because if your nervous system doesn't feel safe, and I just wrote recently about 2 parts of the nervous system. Like one is this, like knowing how to regulate yourself when you reach the edge, but the second part is like expand and stretch your nervous system. So it's a dance of both, and it seems like you need to there is safety in the comfort, and if your nervous system doesn't feel safe to expand, it will find a way to bring you back to that comfort. And that's for everyone also. With every stage and every cycle, it's constant, like increasing that capacity to hold with ease, because when your nervous system feels safe, then it feels easeful. There's no stress, there's no danger, there's no fear. So I'm hearing you, nervous system, something about nervous system in the Ownstream.
Yeah, that would be great. I was just typing in the chat that safety piece really is resonating today in kind of a new way, and just being able to create. I know you have at least one I think there's one track on your website that is a free download or something.
Actually, I put more because also people start to ask me more. So most of the tracks are available in the programs, but now I put intuitively that I feel would be helpful for you guys, really good 4 tracks. So if you go on my website, and I can share my website here, I'm already kind of creating a lot of free stuff because I'm creating support for different stages and financial situations. So if you go on my website and go on capacity work, there are a lot of blogs and podcasts and the kind of donation-based mini retreats or masterclass about each capacity. I'm building it, so some of them are more, some of them less, but you can already find a lot of free stuff there. But also, and I lost my track of thought. Also, what I do also, I started community calls every second Monday of the month where you can join and we can elaborate. I kind of touch base, and this is completely zero donation based, where we can see what you need, where you are at, and maybe just touch base and see like, oh, okay, you know, like something realigns and you go further. And I forgot what I want to say at the end, so I guess it's not important.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, I will put my website here. It's elairaflow.com.
I know we're pretty much at the end of time. Did anyone else have anything that they wanted to share or ask before we finish? Any other requests about something in Ownstream too? You can always direct that to me later, but if there's anything else anyone else wanted to connect with Elaira about before we get off, let us know.
I was going to ask a question earlier, and then I put my hand down, but this is just a question that I'm living with, and it's fine if you don't answer it right now, but a lot of people talk about, oh, you know, you have to separate business and personal. You know, that's business and that's personal. You don't mix the two. And I've always had a problem with that. I've always thought, why do we have to not mix the two? And, you know, and then there's this whole idea of professionalism. So that's just something that I've been pondering.
Yeah, I love that. And this is actually our discussion with my best friend all the time. He also like has very strict, like, this is personal, this is private. And I'm with you on that. Like, why? I don't understand. Like, do we separate our body? Like, this is left side, this is right side, you know? It's like, I really believe that new business paradigm is more coming from the place of holistic approach. At least that's my approach. I don't believe anything. If you struggle with your relational capacity in your personal life, you will struggle in business. If you know you have avoidant attachment style, for example, you will have avoidant attachment style with clients and with money and with your business. So I believe it doesn't have to be at all. I'm not, for me, I'm not filtering at all. Like, I'm the same in personal life, I'm the same in business. And saying that, I have very clear boundaries of, you know, I'm not in enmeshment trauma with that. Like, I feel like me is my own being, my business has its own identity and its own nervous system, and we're in relationship with it. So, you know, coming in that healthy relationship and redefining all rules we made. And this is what I hear a lot, you know, that's a lot of work, like all these rules we made about business and how we relate and what is possible, you know, it's like, why don't we make our own rules? Like, why not to have a personal and business together? Like, who said it's not allowed or not possible, you know? So this is my invitation capacity path, like to rewire like what rules you want to make, like what feels true to you, what feels right to you, and question all these suggestions, all those rules you were told to, like, and if they're fine, like, why not keep it? But if it doesn't resonate, like, it means like, yeah, something is there off. So I love that question. I totally, thank you so much, Katie. Yeah. So I think we wrapped up, and oh, that's what I wanted to say. maybe idea also on my website. If you go, there will be section about capacity, each capacity on capacity page, and each capacity I listed few examples how it may show up, you know, when it's not really expanded. So maybe you can review and share like which capacity you want to go deeper, where do you feel like at the moment you really need to, and based on that I could create some kind of workshop or some kind of masterclass to elaborate where we feel like the need is the biggest for people where you are at. Would that sound interesting?
I love that idea. I think that's a great idea. Definitely check it out, guys. And Elaira, that's just, I know you put your website into the chat. That's just right there on your website if you click on capacity work, right?
Yeah, and also there's a community call page where you can subscribe for different calls and have the themes also. So feel free to join there.
Judy wrote in the chat, how about loving hot seat sessions? I feel like you're really good at that.
That's my kind of zone of genius. I think that's what, yeah, I got alive on that. Yeah, why not? We also can consider that one.
Yeah, cool. So definitely, guys, anyone who's interested, who's here or who's checking this out on the replay, look at Elaira's website and let us know anywhere you might want to dive in a kind of mini retreat kind of way in Ownstream.
I'm thinking, Theresa, would you be okay like if we send kind of follow-up questionnaire and we collect the feedback, and then based on that I can see what is the need, but also where my body sparkles and like says yes, and then we have that meeting point and do something about it.
I think that sounds perfect. Yeah. Cool. Thank you, Elaira, so much. This was really, really great. And
thank you guys so much for showing up and being here. And I hope to connect and see you and know you deeper and further.
Thank you so much. Aloha.
Bye.